Hello and welcome to the second module in the Certificate in Channel Management. In the last module, we briefly touched on the topic of channel recruitment, and in this module, we'll explore that topic more deeply. And before we get into the full presentation, let's look at the goals for this module. So what we want to do in this module is provide you with an introduction to the basics of channel and partner recruitment. We want to explore why it's so important to only recruit the right channel partners and some of the best ways to go about doing this. And we also want to build a compelling vision to convince partners to join your channel partner program. What we don't want to do is tell you exactly how you should recruit your next channel partners or exactly how to build a channel recruitment campaign. That would be going too far. Our agenda for today then is first an introduction into what is channel recruitment, what's it all about. We'll also want to look at assessing the current situation for your company and its strategic direction so that we can understand the idea of alignment with channel partners. We'll look at the ideal partner profile. We'll also examine how to convince the right partners to join you. We'll look at assessing candidates and then how to prepare for the next logical step, which is onboarding your new partners. So before we get into all of that, firstly, what is channel recruitment? It's important to look at the different elements of it. Obviously, it's about identifying and successfully recruiting, but it's about doing that with the right channel partners to build a successful channel ecosystem. And the point of all of that is to expand your company's market reach and achieve its financial goals. So it's not just about recruiting anybody, it's making sure it's the right ones and it's the right ones that can help extend your market reach and achieve the financial goals. And why is it important? Well, many organizations do make poor choices in the companies that they allow into their partner programs. And really, your partner program can only ever be as good as the partners you have in it and their suitability for your strategic goals. So having the right partners also means that you have the highly motivated partners, that they're a good fit for your organization and they're strategically aligned with you. Even the best partner program, it can only be as good as the ecosystem and the partners that are in that. And partner selection and partner recruitment is really crucial to getting that maximum coverage of customer coverage, market coverage, while minimizing the amount of conflict between partners and between your direct sales force and your channel ecosystem. So let's look at assessing the current situation and assessing strategic direction. Firstly, before you start to recruit your channel partners, you need to understand your company's strategic direction. You need to understand your company's vision and mission. Where is it that you're going? What's your company's current strategy? And more importantly, what's the proposed strategy? What are the new directions that your company is looking to move in? Because you need to make sure you have the right partners on board to help you move in that direction. Also, what are the target segments that you're targeting now, and what new target segments might you be targeting in the future, and which channel partners are already successful or have potential to be successful in those new market segments? And the ultimate question is, can your existing partner portfolio get you there? And if you're a channel manager, taking that same approach to the channel partners that you're managing, look at those from a portfolio perspective. Which of these will help me achieve my goals, and which of these may not make a transition if the company is changing direction? So what type of partner will help you achieve those goals? Well, what are the key characteristics of the channel partners that will help you achieve your strategy. What sort of resources do they need to have in place now? What sort of strengths and resources will they need to have in the future to help you achieve your goals and your company to achieve its goals? And some of the questions also relate to what sort of expertise they need to have now and in the future. So, what sort of product certification? What sort of technological expertise? What sort of expertise in particular industry segments that are strategically important to your company? And what about from a marketing and sales perspective? Does it matter that they have strong business development skills, skills that can help them break into new accounts in white space? Or are you more interested in very technically proficient partners? You need to understand those type of decisions before you even launch a partner recruitment campaign. And there are many different partner types as well, and most vendors need a variety of different partner types to help their customers. So this is a good time to review the various types of partners, and it's also important to understand that you need to take the perspective of the customers when you're looking at a portfolio of different partner types. It depends on the customer's needs, what sort of mix you want to have. Some customers may prefer to deal with one type of partner than another, depending on the particular situation or the particular project that they're working on at that time. So you're probably familiar with all of these different terms, but this is a good time to run through them. So first of all, a VAR, and a VAR is a company that simply resells the equipment of an OEM while also providing additional value beyond the order fulfillment. So a lot of additional services, maybe some integration services. A managed service provider is typology that is becoming increasingly important regarding the cloud. This is a company that remotely manages a customer's IT infrastructure on a proactive basis and typically under a subscription model. Then there are consultants, and these are usually experienced individuals that are trained to analyze and advise a client to help them make the best possible choices in terms of the technology and infrastructure that they bring into their company. A systems integrator then is an individual or company that builds out the entire computing system for a client by combining various types of hardware from multiple vendors, same with software products, and integrates all of those to make an entire solution. The OEM is traditionally referred to as a company that manufactures the product. It now often describes a company that rebrands and manufactures products and sells them to the end customers. An ISV is a software company, so independent software creator makes and sells those software products. And then distributors, these are intermediaries between the product producer, the manufacturer, and another entity in the supply chain, such as the consultants or the VARs or the SIs. You also, when you're doing partner recruitment, need to take a good impartial look at your competitors and look at their strengths and the weaknesses of their channel ecosystem and understand what type of partners do your closest competitors have and what sort of coverage do they have in terms of industry segments, geography, and so on. And the question that you really want to ask is, well, how might you gain a competitive advantage by differentiating your channel structure? And your company has probably already done much of that evaluation. You probably have that information on board. But even for your particular territory, it's worth taking that same perspective. And one thing that needs to be considered as well is the transformation of businesses that are going on now. And even though the cloud is not something new, it's still driving significant business transformation, and especially in the channel. So when you're looking at your business, your company, look at whether the strategy or the direction is changing and how your current partner portfolio might be able to help achieve those objectives. So when you look at your channel partners, you need to understand which of these will have the capacity and the capabilities to transform their business or their strategies to stay relevant with you and to stay aligned with your company objectives. And the question to ask is, when you look at your particular partner portfolio, do they have the necessary skill sets to transform in the same direction that we're going now? Or how might we build out that channel ecosystem with partners that perhaps are a little more aligned or have a better capacity to transform into the sort of partners we need? And I've mentioned portfolio a number of times, and it is really important to take that perspective on the channel partners that you're managing. And this is an interesting methodology, the channel partner growth matrix. It helps you segment out the different partners that you're managing. The workhorse is a typology that represents really the very technically savvy partners that you have, but the ones that don't necessarily have very strong business or marketing skills. So they're very technically competent, but they may not help you achieve new strategic objectives. The butterfly, on the other hand, are companies that have made a transformation. They're already your winning partners, the ones that are achieving success in the direction that you need them to do. And probably the most important one is what's called a caterpillar. And these are the ones that may not have made the complete transition yet, but they're the ones that you think are your rising stars. These are the ones that have the capabilities, they have the capacity. With a little more investment, with a little more attention from you, these are the ones that can become your future winners and help you achieve your strategic direction. So this is an interesting way to carve out the partners that you manage into different segments and try to understand which ones are the ones that really could do with the most attention to become your future winners. And it's the same when you're doing channel partner recruitment. When you are initially looking at partners that you might want to bring on board, perhaps put them into this sort of a category. It will help you make decisions around which ones you really want to pursue and which ones maybe are not the most suitable candidates. And when you've done all that, you want to look at, well, what are the gaps in what it is you're trying to do? So a sheer volume of partners is never the answer. What you're really looking for when you're evaluating new partners is, well, what are the core competencies that those partners have? What are their sustainable competitive advantages? And which of those are most aligned with your needs and with the new direction or the current direction of your company? And ideal partner profile is quite helpful. So this is a dynamic model, and it's something that will change over time. But when you are building out a ideal partner profile, you'll want to consider some of the elements here, and this is not all of them. But things like, what geography do they cover? What's their industry focus, and what strengths do they have in particular industries? What's their strategy? What is their technology direction? How well are they aligned technologically with you? Business development capabilities is really important if you're looking to win new market share. And it's something that is overlooked by many channel managers. But just because a partner is technically proficient, just because they do well with their current customer base, doesn't mean that they can win new accounts, the ones that you want. So have a look at their business development and marketing capabilities because they may be account farmers. They simply may not be business developers. Of course, you need to look at their financial stability. It's important to understand as well the number of certifications that they have in your products or in your technology area, at least. Obviously, the size of the company, the partnerships they have with other vendors, the sort of growth rates that they've had, and whether those growth rates match where you're looking to go. And of course, there's other things like culture and so on as well. But number of sales and marketing staff also is a good indicator of whether these are going to be a partner that will help you grow your market. So once you've identified the partners, new partners that you want to bring on board into your partner program, it's important that you do have a compelling value proposition that will convince them to take you seriously and to invest in your company. And of course, where this starts is, well, what's in it for me? So it's all about taking the partner's perspective. How can your partner program help drive their business forward together with you? So it's all about trying to make sure that you're coming up with a compelling story that will give them the vision about how they can grow their business by aligning themselves with you. And it's also important to remember that you are competing for their attention. There are multiple vendors that they are already working with. There's also other vendors who are trying to get their attention, especially if they are a highly desirable partner that perhaps is winning in a strategically important segment. So even if you have a strong brand, those partners do have options. And you need to make sure you have a strong story about, well, what's valuable about your company and what's compelling about your partner program in terms of driving that partner's business. It's also worth understanding where everything fits. So customers don't just buy products. What they're looking for obviously are solutions. And a vendor's products typically need to be configured, they need to be customized, installed, maintained, and so on. And this is what we mean by the whole product. And that's why you need these partners. So we need to explain to new partners the value chain that they're coming into and the value chain for your product and how this includes them in delivery. So you need to let them help them understand exactly where they fit in this entire value chain that a customer will want to buy into. And that will help them understand and build the business case for partnering with you. So this is a major part of your compelling value proposition for your new partner. And what is it that partners want? Partners obviously want a lot of things. They want innovative products from a producer and manufacturer that is recognized as being market leading. They also want support with demand generation because most partners don't have the same level of marketing and business development sophistication that vendors have. So they do want to learn and get assistance with things like demand generation. They want to also know that there's going to be future demand with mutual customers and that you'll be doing marketing activities to expand the demand from your mutual customers right now. They want to know that you've already thought through how to minimize channel conflict. They'll want to know how you're going to enable them operationally, legally, from a marketing and sales perspective. They'll want to understand what sort of ongoing training and certification will you provide to them to not only help them understand your products and how to come up with the best solutions, but also to convince customers about their credibility on your products. They want to know that it's easy to add value to your products and it's easy to increase profitability. And most importantly, they'll want to know that you're going to respect them and you're going to have a good communication mechanism with them. There'll be lots of other things as well. And the most important thing is ask them what's important to them and make sure that you're able to answer their questions on those topics. And some typical questions that partners may have, well, most importantly, if we are a strong performer, how will you reward us? How will you help our business? Also, what do we have to do to maintain our current status in the partner program or move into the higher tiers? What way does your market development funding and your co-op funding work? How will we be compensated? What sort of reporting and administration will be required? Remember, these are businesses and they need to spend their time winning new business, making sales. Their primary goal is not about doing administration and reporting for your company. Also, what are the contractual obligations? Are there any restrictions that they're tying themselves into? What sort of resources will be made available to them to help build their business with you? And here we're also talking about things like your partner marketing portal, any sort of marketing content you'll be providing, any sort of social media syndication, any sort of sales enablement tools, and so on. And again, how will they do joint business planning with you? And how often does that happen? Probably how committed are you to that type of thing? And because joint business planning is important, but it often doesn't happen quarterly as people originally plan. Also, it's important for you to think through who at the partner company will you initially target when you start to try to recruit them. Will you target the CEO, the head of sales, the head of marketing, head of alliances, head of product development? Who are the people that are your best entry point into those organizations to start getting the conversation going? And most importantly, once you've made that decision, what's your messaging going to be for that particular person? If you're also going for multiple people as an entry point in those organizations, you're going to need to develop different messaging and different value propositions for each one of those people, or in marketing terms called personas. So each of those different personas are going to have a different type of interest. And if you start talking to a head of marketing about how technically brilliant your products are, well, that's a complete turn off. They're not really going to be all that interested. So think about who you're going to target and think about their interest levels before you start coming up with messaging. So if you're talking to a CEO, you want to be talking to them in their language and the language of their priorities. We can increase your business growth and profitability by doing A, B, and C. Head of sales wants to know about how you're going to help them accelerate their sales growth. Head of marketing wants to know about building market share, and so on. So think that through. Think about what is your launch point within the company going to be, and make sure you have a really compelling story to get their attention, to get their buy-in, because they are going to be your champions within that organization. And also you need to think about, well, what are the communication channels going to be? How are you going to make them aware of your company, and how are you going to start that conversation? Are you going to use things like Twitter or LinkedIn? Are you going to use email campaigns, telemarketing campaigns, events, public relations, or perhaps you're going to work your network by going through your existing partners? Just think that through and make sure that all of this is planned out well in advance. And then how are you going to create a target list? So building out and finding the companies that you may have an interest in. How will you start to get that initial data? And then how will you start to prioritize those prospects as well? So you can use things like the social media platforms, LinkedIn, Zing, and so on. You can purchase in data from companies like Experian, CompuBase, Hoovers, TechTarget, whoever. Then it's about prioritizing those prospects. And you'll need to come up with very specific criteria that matters to you. So data that can help you understand the desirability of those partners, their probability of engaging with you, and going back to your ideal partner profile, looking at the key criteria and trying to match that to data that you've brought in. It's also important to have a centralized place, a centralized hub where you can capture all of this data and where you can manage it all. So some sort of centralized web-based registration hub where you can register partners or they can register themselves. You also need to have a predetermined application process. Your company probably already has this in place, but if not, maybe you'll need to come up with something, or maybe there are additional requirements that you need to have in there. And you need to consider, what is the key data? What data do we need these partners to enter into this hub so that we can eliminate the ones that simply don't qualify, the ones that we don't find attractive? And also you need to think through what happens directly after we get this application. So you need to be managing the application's expectations, and you need to also remember, look, first impressions last. So if a potential partner takes the time to fill out your forms, you can't leave them languishing for 3 or 4 months. If it takes you that long to get back, or if they simply just get an automated email responder and then they don't hear from anybody for a long time, well, that's going to be a real turnoff. That speaks volumes about how seriously you take new partners. So you need to make sure that you do have a solid process in place for new partners. And then when you're assessing candidates for new partners, it will typically involve a face-to-face meeting at their premises, so you can get to know each other and you can meet some of their people and get a real feel for their organization. And during that first meeting, you'll want to present your company vision, the value proposition for partners, and the business opportunity for the partner. You'll also want to present your expectations for business partners. You need to lay out very clearly what you expect them to do and the sort of work that you need to see them put in to become a successful business partner. And then you'll ask them to present their business overview, their strategy, their strengths, and also their aspirations, where it is they want to go. All of this will help you understand how well do both of your organizations align strategically. And then you'll want to, after the meeting, just take some time to review and assess whether you want to move forward at all, and before you make a follow-up call to the partner to see if they want to move forward as well. And if you do decide to move ahead, well, then there's a couple of administration and legal things that you'll want to put in place. One of the things may be a letter of intent, and that's, and we're using a Wikipedia definition here, a document outlining one or more agreements between you and the channel partner before agreements are finalized. And it's similar to a heads of agreement or a memorandum of understanding. And here we'll go into the MOU as well. So an MOU expresses a convergence of will between the parties, indicating an intended common line of action. And really what we're saying here is it's about agreeing the terms of the partnership. And this should all be done around a standard template that your company has. It's often used in cases where parties either do not imply a legal commitment just yet, or in situations where the parties cannot create a legally enforceable agreement. So really, it's an agreement to agree, but it's something that forces a partner down the path towards formal partnership. So it means that if they won't even sign a letter of intent or an MOU, well, maybe this partnership isn't going to be taken all that seriously, but at least you haven't gone down the full route of a legal partnership agreement. So it's a first step in the legals, and it's an important one. And on the different parts of partner recruitment, and want to leave you with some of the key takeaways on channel recruitment. First of all, you need to understand, well, where is your company going? What is the strategic direction? You want to start with an ideal partner profile. You want to build that up and make sure that you have the key criteria and the key data points that will help you understand what your ideal partner looks like. You also want to only recruit the most suitable partners for your organization, and that will help reduce future channel conflict. Make sure that you're taking the partners what's in it for me viewpoint, and make sure that you're coming up with a compelling value proposition for the partners to help them understand how you will help them grow their business. And as a first step in signing up a partner and in terms of partner enablement, create an MOU or a letter of intent reasonably early, and this will help manage the partner's expectations. And it's also critical for the next step, which is the onboarding process. That brings us to an end on the module for channel partner recruitment. And I just mentioned onboarding and enablement, and that's the next logical module in the certificate course. And in that module, we'll look at, well, what is partner onboarding and why is it so important? We'll also look at what is partner enablement and how do you go about doing that? What is critical to successful onboarding and enablement? And again, we'll then bring out some of the key takeaways. So thank you for your attention on this module covering channel partner recruitment. And I look forward to you joining me on the next one, which will be channel partner onboarding and enablement.